Welcome to MLP Daily. This is a brand new series where we are going to use the 5 message limit quota on Lovable, and we're going to build something together. We're just going to walk through the process of using Lovable, probably share a few principles of building software along the way. Lovable is built such that almost anybody can use it, but it still helps to have some understanding of building software. And so just wanted to share some journey here and go along the way, the journey. So we'll try and do everyday weekdays, and we'll use up those 5 messages, and people can watch. And we welcome any feedback and comments, and yeah, anything that people have to share. So I didn't write a super good introduction script here, but we're calling it MLP Daily because I think it might have. I don't know if he was the first person to say it, but I've heard. I think it was Dylan Field, CEO of Figma, say that they like the phrase "minimal lovable product." And I wouldn't be surprised if the lovable platform got named for that reason. It helps you build something that is kind of like an MVP. So without any further delay for today, we're going to jump in, and what we're going to build is it could turn into a lot of things here, and it'll evolve as we go. The goal is going to be something that revolves around stats, data, and numbers, and it probably would go really well someday as a mobile app. Right now, Lovable doesn't do mobile apps. That's okay. So what it's going to start as is almost like a game, and it's going to be nothing but this button, and you click the button, and every time you click it, you have a counter that goes up. Eventually, this will turn into other things. There's probably going to be a leaderboard, and there's probably going to have to be some method that stops people from using bots to auto-click it for them and stuff. But the game will evolve, and it'll turn into this platform where it hopefully educates even the layperson about numbers, data, statistics. Who knows? Far-fetched idea maybe. It lets people plug in their own data and even sell their own data, right? And it educates like how data is used and sold by other companies. I don't know. Could be a lot of things, but for now, and I did have a reference here, and it would have been great if I would have written that in front of me. But we're going to start by saying, let's make a simple application that starts at, let's see, a simple application that helps people learn about data, stats, numbers, and more. And then new line to start with, let's just have a simple interface that initially a user only sees a button, and upon clicking the button for the first time, a large number counter appears above it. Every time after that, every time they click the button, click or tap the button after that, the number, okay, and so a large number 1. Every time the number increments by 1 for each click. I want to squeeze a little more in here and make use of this 5 message quota, but I will also say I've been playing with Lovable for a little bit now. Not super seasoned expert, but I have found that on some of the apps I've built, when I go a little too overboard and I try and explain a lot, I've had mixed success. I've had times that it's made awesome platforms and awesome success with just a few messages, and I've had other times where it starts to break things. So I want to keep this relatively simple. I don't want to overload, and also make this pretty straightforward for any audience that happens to be watching and seeing this journey. So we're not going to go too far, but maybe we'll indicate some styling here. I'll also include a dark light mode toggle in the corner, but keep the interface very simple, minimal, and clean. If we can find a way to, I was going to ask for glass morphism, but I'm going to hold off on that one. Let's just go with that for now. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to keep it clean. We can adjust and modify. And if we use up all 5 messages pretty quick today, that's okay, because we'll have another 5 tomorrow. So it takes my message here. We did a video the other day of first time using Lovable. So if you haven't seen that, you can go watch it. Or you can just watch these and go along with this journey here. But it took the message that I had. It's got a nice little bit of conversation here with me, kind of iterating back to me what it's going to do. And then over here on the side, it's showing me all of the programming and coding that it's doing for me. So it's creating all of these code files. If you're not a programmer, that's okay. You don't have to stress too much about what's over there. If you are a programmer and developer, all the better, because you'll be able to understand what's going on. And through this series, we'll show you some of the features, such as connecting with GitHub, and how your Lovable project can suddenly become this project that you can manually modify the code with. We'll demonstrate that at a future point. So it looks like it's gone through. It's made a few different files for us. It's working on putting them together, spinning it all up, and we're going to get the big reveal here. Look at this. So we've got, right, and this is pretty close to what I imagined. It looks like maybe we're inverted from dark mode and light mode, but there's a button. And theoretically that's it. And then we've got this light mode, dark mode toggle here, which is great. We may have to fix the, it's reversed there. But hopefully now I'm going to press the click me button and we're going to see a number show up. Well, look at that. Oh, it did give me a toast here as well, too. That's cute. Click the button to increase the counter. And, I actually think that's great. I love that I didn't ask for it, but it added this toast, giving me a little more, indication of what to do next. Although I think it's pretty clear. I clicked it, a number showed up. So we click it again. Look at that. 2. So to any of you that are, fast clickers, you're going to be here spamming your mouse button. But, all is not perfect in the land of counters here, because right now, I don't think we're saving anything. If I come up here and I refresh this page, we're back to 0, which is okay for testing, right? We're just building this thing out. This is great. But we're going to want it to be saving this information. We might do that right now. I might hold off on that. What I want, though, is eventually, once we get to a high enough number, I want it to unlock different parts of this application, right? I don't know the best thing that's going to come next, but I feel like these fonts aren't what I would have chosen, and that's probably okay. But I do know, so let's see. Scroll for me. Oh, it's my... it's the fact that I thought I was full screen and I'm not. Okay, and then we'll go back to F11. There we go. Now we're full screen. So I do know that I want to fix the light mode, dark mode. I'm going to try and put that into a combined message here. It's a small, simple change. If you put too much in a message, again, like I was saying, it's going to probably add some confusion. Like Lovable and the AI, it's smart, but it's not perfect. And it may sometimes, say if you give it 5 different instructions, it may understand 4 of them really well, and that 5th one, maybe it gets confused, it mixes it in with one of the others, doesn't understand the context because you didn't keep it separate. It is really important to make sure with any AI tool that you are, when necessary, that you're explicit. There are times, like I say, I didn't tell it to make the toast for me, and it's kind of cool. It made that assumption, it added something sweet that I wasn't looking for, and that I wasn't biased towards. But there are times you want something specific, just make sure that you are specific in what you're explaining there and what you're telling to the AI. I don't want to take the time to just read through all this, but it's probably worth mentioning. It's ironic. I didn't type glassmorphism, but it considered it in here. We don't have anything right now where you would be seeing that really apply. We could get to that, and the app could develop to that. I think adding and getting more color is also part of what I would like to see the app do as your click counter increases. So it's a simple thing. It centered the button. I didn't ask for that, but I'm glad it did that. That was what I was imagining, right? That's a case where I wasn't explicit. Kind of got lucky. So smooth animations and interactions there. So I'm gonna just do a numbered list here. I'm gonna say, can we make the click button a little larger and possibly a little more styled and unique? Can it be a square with rounded corners? And then 2, we're gonna address. It looks like the light mode. Light and dark mode. And dark mode button is inverted from the interface. Can we fix that? And then can you make a small, this one's a stretch here, but we're going to try it, animation after the first click. So we got some adjustments here. It did give us, after the it finished generating the code before, it gave some suggestions here, and maybe I would have been well to address these here. I did in some ways talk about some of them anyways, right? You're gonna have to practice and work on your prompting techniques. It is a skill and people in the world do pay for it, but that doesn't mean that anybody can't learn it or anybody can't talk with an AI. It's just something you build over time. It's talking about tweaking the design, so we actually got some aspects of that built in here. I mentioned earlier GitHub Sync. We'll do that in a future episode. There's other things like Supabase here that connects a backend database. We might get to that, probably not today because I'm not set up for it yet, but that will be necessary if we start to make user accounts and have anything that persists or saves per login. So it looks like it finished off already. Again, we're keeping this simple instructions and steps as we go. It looks like it didn't have issues. There may be times that your prompt gives an error and you'll get a box down here. It'll say that the build failed. You can click on that box and there's a little wrench that'll let you more or less basically free message. So it shouldn't count against your quota. It'll help you build the application. I'll demonstrate that when we, once we encounter an error. So it did fix the light mode, dark mode kind of version of the toggle there, which is great. And then it's got the click me, it's got color to it. I wasn't any more specific on, like I said, let's make it styled and unique. So this is what we got. We got some color out of it. And I click it. That, not bad. It gave me, I saw that little expanding. It wasn't really fireworks, but I dig it. And I'm almost wondering if now I think I want that at every 10. Every time we hit a 10 or a 20. Let's do that little firework animation. I'm not going to submit this, but I'm going to start typing. Let's add the firework animation to every 10 increments on the counter, i.e. at 10, 20, 30, etc. line. It wasn't really what I was looking for the button, but we'll live with it and adjust it for now. What I want to do, and I don't know the right point because okay, so I mentioned a leaderboard earlier. Let's say that once the user gets to I don't want to click to 100 for now, so we'll go and adjust this. This will be something that'll be great later that we can look at with the code. I'm just going to say for now 35 on their counter. We want to show the option to view a leaderboard. For this, let's provide a button along the bottom of the interface that is hidden before 35 clicks, but when the user clicks on it, let's open a modal. A modal is a nice little dialog box. We can call it all kinds of different things, but that displays a global, I can spell, a global leaderboard of users and what their click counter is at. So there's a lot about this that isn't yet in place for the app, things that just aren't put together, that a leaderboard in some ways doesn't make sense. There's no one else using this app, right? So I'm going to be the only person. Lovable is pretty decent at putting in some sample data. You'll be able to see here as we generate it, you'll see what it looks like. It might be great, it might not. If we need to adjust, we will. That's the story here, right? It's an iterative process in software development. There's different methodologies. Traditionally, there was this method called waterfall. It's where everybody worked on and built things for this long period of time, a year, 2, 3 years, and then when they got to the end, they released their software, their product, and put it out there. And as is the case with any like product to this day, like sometimes people like it, sometimes they use it, sometimes they don't. And so there's another methodology that's much more common and popular nowadays. And everything has its place. Waterfall makes sense in certain situations. With most software, it doesn't. But Agile, this other method, is all about iteration and fixing and trying and adjusting as we go. And that's exactly what we're doing here with Lovable. So checking all of our fun features, it still works. We click, okay, and then let's hope when we get to 10, we get another firework. Look at there, 10 clicks, keep going. That's cute. It gave another toast there. I like that. So we hit 20, another toast. Probably need something that scales, honestly, more exponential instead of every 10, because once you get to 100, I don't need to award you with a little animation every 10 clicks. Last one that we should get, 30. Boom, keep going. So we're hoping now on this next click, we're going to get this button we asked for. And sure enough, it generated this new button here. It's called View Leaderboard. It's got some nice simple style to it. I can keep clicking, number keeps going up, or I can open the leaderboard, which this is what I was talking about, right? We've got some sample data here. I have no idea who Alex is, Quinn, Avery, Riley. But what's cool is it does have me here. For anyone that knows, my actual name is Cameron, so don't get confused. 10 is not me. 9 is me. It's ironic that it chose that. Alex is king right now. I like, the icons that it came up with. It's pretty simple. I think it's probably the level of simplicity that I still would like to see. See how your clicker score compares. It's pretty cool. So we got a close, we've got an X. The X works. Takes a minute to load. Was that 234 or was that 254? Close, open again. 234. Okay. So now if we keep clicking, 40 clicks, keep going. 50, 60. Okay, let's check the leaderboard again. And boom, look at that, guys. I'm moving up. So again, keep in mind, it's not saving my clicks between session yet. That's okay. We'll get there. It isn't actually pulling these numbers from real people, but this is a great test case, right? This is letting us see that it is indeed counting me. It is dynamically like putting me in this leaderboard wherever my appropriate position is. So more or less, like it's all working as it should with at least what we've described and as it understood and interpreted. So going to take a pause here. Again, this is demonstrating, this is episode 1. So to just show people, you've been doing these messages. Maybe you didn't know that you had a message quota. Maybe you ran out already and it said, hold on, you're going fast there. You're going to have to pay or wait till tomorrow. But there's a way to check it if you didn't know. And so I want to show that real quick here. We go up to our account settings. If you're in a development and an app environment here, your menu is going to look like this: dashboard, account, learn, etc. And so we could go straight to account settings, or if you happen to be on your dashboard that looks like this, kind of the home start page, the Lovable button here just brings you back to this page. From here, instead, you would navigate in the top right. You would open that up and click on Settings. In Settings, we can see several different things, including how many messages we have left for the day. And so this makes sense. If you were counting with what we've built out so far, we've used 3 messages, and so we've got 2 left. We'll go right back into our project. Just wanted to demonstrate that. I want to actually, I just realized I want to see what the we restarted. I want to see what the leaderboard looks like in whoops, in light mode. And so take note here also, there's something that I want to fix, and it's that this click button, it actually moves when we hit the first one. Probably not a big deal because most people aren't going to be restarting, but I went to like click it rapidly and suddenly it highlighted the one because that's not where the button was anymore. But once it reaches this point, I guess what I want to see too is, does the leaderboard shift everything up? And if so, I don't think I want that. Yes, it did shift everything up. So let's not have the leaderboard shift everything upwards when it spawns, but rather have it be pinned to the bottom of the screen or interface. Save some space there for maybe another edit or two, but I wanted to see, right? I want to see the leaderboard in light mode. I think it looks pretty good. All's well. Notice that it's got the same names and the same sample data here. Yeah, honestly, I'm pretty tickled with what it came up with, and that's what I've been experiencing. Is it like it does a pretty good job of capturing concepts that are out there in other platforms and other software. So I'm gonna pull the audience here. Looks like we lost one of our live viewers here, but for those that are present in the stage channel, what suggestions, ideas, or recommendations would you want to throw out that we add into this next message?
In the next message? That's a great question. I don't know. I did have an idea earlier, but you were on a roll and I didn't want to interrupt.
Do you remember
I
it?
can't remember if it came back to me. It was something around. So you got the leaderboard in there. Maybe a reset.
Hmm.
I don't know if this is like trying to keep track of everything for forever.
Yeah, that was
So like I think.
so. This spawns from an idea that I had a long time ago, and there are bits and pieces of that vision that I still have, and some of it's obviously like as natural, like evolved and morphed over time. I had imagined that people could, one of the early features as they got to say 100 or 200 or something, is that they could start to track other things. So let's say I want to track how many cups of water I drink a day. That becomes a whole separate counter from this click piece, right? But then I have a section for my personal counters or something, and I could track cups of water per day. I could track days in a row that I've done my sit-ups or exercise. I could track how many times I said a specific word in a day. Someone has a problem with curse words and is trying to cut back.
So you almost want a dashboard of all of
Yeah.
your things that you're tracking,
So
and you can
so
see
that
an
was
ongoing number.
an old school idea. And I think there's still ways to bring that in. Again, like this is an evolving thing, right? The goal is for it to evolve as we think of things, as the community contributes ideas, and as I go. And I'll work on building out a vision and stuff that I'll be able to apply during these sessions. But other aspects would include, at some point, I want it to pull in data and metrics from real world things, and I would love to separate, maybe through color or maybe some mechanism that we come up with that shows your data versus someone else's data. Let's say we're pulling in sports metrics. Somebody wants to see what's the Lakers score in a game right now, or what's the Lakers win loss record for the season, or even deeper, right? And like what's their historic metrics and stuff. But then we need to, like, I want to call out in throughout and across the app, like someone's data, their own data is marked and clear in some specific way, right? Um, so there's tons of directions and ways that this could go, and I feel like it was sort of a perfect candidate for this MLP project, this MLP Daily thing, because it starts as something simple. It's one piece at a time, and it can go in so many different directions. But we're at that first big fork, right? Of like, what's the next, big thing to add? Um, and so for this specific thing, though, this is like a big turn. I feel like as the platform became more well known and adopted, that this would be an optional thing, and you wouldn't force every single user to go through this. But for the very first people, like this is just part of the required thing. You got to like click the button, and it's sort of gamified, right? And that this would be like a forever thing. Like if people are bored and they just want to be in here in the app, clicking, whether it's loaded on their phone someday or it's just on the browser, and that this would legitimately be this global leaderboard to see like, dude, that guy's got like 1 million clicks already. Wow. And then another factor, again, data, is like that maybe at some point people have the ability to input their location optionally into the app, and then based on their location we could give them other leaderboards too, right? And we could just, it's helping again like showcase how data is leveraged in all kinds of different ways. um
I think it could be interesting to be like, sure, people can come in here and click this, but what if it could also pull in data around like different apps, video games, whatever, where it then shows me my total clicks lifetime, like across everything that I use, because I'm clicking outside of this as well.
oh wow, that would be crazy. um if there was some sort of mobile app and then background like computer program that could be tracking that kind of stuff. The only thing that's missing is like consoles at that point. Maybe we could say like it's a per device thing. since there is a limit to like how much you can track, and then you could just someday when that's a thing that can be running in the background, right? Like it's if somebody chooses to install it on their phone, it says number of taps on your phone type of thing. That could be pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, and with the computers, like number of clicks, right? It could be, like you said, some app that's installed and it just grabs the application that you're clicking. And maybe that's just OS. Maybe it's an actual app. And so you could see like, I don't know, in my head, I'm visioning like this tree diagram of like where my chunks of clicks are in the different apps throughout my life.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Is that the right diagram?
A tree diagram and
Like
like this branching out and stuff.
nah, it's the one. It's the one. When you want to find out what is using your storage, Winder stat.
I think that's called a tree diagram.
Okay.
Maybe.
Anyways, so you could see where things are clustered and where you're clicking and what apps. You could zoom in on categories of apps, like maybe it's OS, maybe it's productivity apps, maybe it's the browsers, right? But then you have this master number that's across all of it, and the leaderboards for that. But it could be in different categories.
It's true.
I know back when I was playing Counter Strike, I did a lot of clicks.
Oh, I made it to second place, man. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be fun. Trying to think of like what part of that could play in now. I did also think of while you were talking, maybe once we hit 100 or something, we spawn some sort of like card or banner that is just pulling like kind of like a loading screen. You know, I know you're familiar with this concept that has like rotating tips and things like that. Maybe it's like a little card or a banner that has rotating like random stats or metric or data or something. But I'm trying to think of where to tell Lovable what to point it towards in terms of like what kind of random data pieces to grab, you know?
So could you create an app like this where people could hit the click me, but maybe there's other things to interact that are just novel, and then you install Clarity, and then you have it connect to Clarity and give you the clicks for everything on the system and total that up
That could be
within the web page, right?
yeah, that could
But
be
you have like
interesting.
different things for them to click on, and it just keeps account of all the things they clicked on. And then if you want to get really crazy, each day you just like introduce some new novel clicking thing, and you see which one over time is like what do people like the most, you know, which one had the most clicks. In a way, this is kind of a oh gosh, like a spinner, a fidget.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely can be that. And I feel like it can be more, but like initially that is pretty much all it is, right? Um yeah. So I'm thinking for now, like regardless of what route we go, what I want is that once we reach a certain point, I'm gonna move this current counter to the side so that it's sort of a side piece while new parts of like functionality spawn, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
I'm going to pop it to, I don't know, left or right. And then I'm going to have a window, which is where I can continue to bring in new things as well. Um,
What if this is a way, since you're tying in the clarity concept, what if it's a way to identify what buttons people like the most? And so you're just introducing new button types and like styles, and maybe there's a triangle button, maybe there's a round button, maybe they're like
ooh,
have
that's cool.
fancy edges.
Yeah. So like, I'm just going to jot that as like a note here. Button type survey kind of, and I'll word that out here in a second. But so what I was going to say, what I was going to tell it here is when we hit 100 clicks, let's uh, let's move our main click button and counter over to the we'll put it on the right side of the screen. Reveal a box or border around it and label that section of the page as the user's counter. Totally can modify all this stuff someday, either through Lovable or through code. So we're gonna make this the
Now,
users.
simplifying this more, sorry, you
Yep.
got my brain really going on this.
Good. Go for it.
What if it was as simple as one of those, what's that one app that like you're combining fruit and it becomes like different fruit and bigger fruit? What I'm talking about?
Yeah, like the watermelon merge thing.
Yeah. Instead of that, what if it's like um, the button, as you click a certain amount of times, morphs into a new button. And if you click that, it morphs into a new button. And you're just basically like trying to get to discover all the button types or styles.
Okay. So
So
maybe
not this whole like clarity thing where it's like a A/B test for thousands of button styles, but just like almost a simple game where it's like, what is the button going to look like next? And maybe you take it from like the Stone Age up to the future, and like you create like styles that go through that. I don't know, but it's just the buttons changing as you hit certain numbers, and it like scales some Fibonacci scale or something that's like you have to click it that many more times to get to that next button level. and then it almost becomes a badge. Like, what button have you achieved?
A cool thing about that, aside from like maybe total clicks, and maybe that's what the leaderboard should be, is not clicks of this single specific button, but total clicks in the platform, regardless of where you click. And what we can do is also create some novelty to this experience in that choose your own adventure, right? What I'm about to say is something like, we hit 100, let's split the main button into two different buttons, and I'm going to tell it, try and make it hopefully like this cool animation that looks like blobs separating from each other. We'll see how it goes. But at that point, the things you start clicking on are different for every user, and it'd be interesting to shape out, like you're saying, some badges, achievements, alternate leaderboards, or whatever that are going to be different for everybody. So instead of just being, who spammed the click button the most and has this highest number, like there's other ways to go with like people's adventure and journey in this platform. So
If you want to go to choose your own adventure, it's almost like you give them like 4 buttons or something, and they click 2 of them, and it merges those button styles together. And then they have a couple others, and it merges them together. And, and they always are picking 2 out of a set, and it's merging and morphing it based on what they pick.
That's cool.
Have you seen those games? My kids play one where it's like they get to where they get a unicorn or something. I'll have to ask them what it is, but it's like merging 2 things together, like emojis or something.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I could see it going either way. If you want like a choose your own adventure, or if you want it to where it just the more you click, and it's just right back to the original idea. The more you click, you get higher number. The higher number, the more button styles you unlock. And you could make it a daily thing. So it's who unlocked the highest new button for the day.
Yeah, like the leaderboard could have like daily things and yeah, like different increments as well.
So you have like total click, but daily. But that way you're not trying to like come up with new buttons for like someone that clicks a million times. You're only getting to whatever someone clicks within a day, not lifetime for button styles. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But you could create badges around someone that achieved a streak of hitting level 100 button 5 times in a row.
So I'm telling it, we're going to move the counter up. We're going to split the buttons, staying in the center of the page. And okay, we can address this. What I'm thinking, and I'm trying to decide if I want to cram it into this one message or not, is that after it splits into 2, they pick one of those, and then those both split into 2 more options. And then the second, let's see, those split, and the one that they already clicked grays out. So now there's 3 options, and whichever one of those they pick then merges with the first one they picked in terms of shape and style. And then they've got, I don't know,
If you don't want to deal with like this merging aspect, it could just be once they reach it, you present 2 options. They choose an adventure, which is just a binary, like this one becomes their new button they're clicking, and it has a different path and style. So then you could theme it to like Dark Ages or space or whatever, and they choose, and then they get levels with those buttons and unlock badges. And someone could come through and be like, well, next time I want to choose. And it's always linear, it's always the same. It's not some weird morphing thing where we have to figure out combos.
Yeah, I think there's lots of ways it could evolve, right? And maybe back to the philosophy here, to use up our prompts for the day and wrap up today's session, keeping it with simple. So I'll probably stick with what this has and leave a little bit of room too to see if it innovates on its own and gives us any kind of interesting quirks. So we're going to reach 100 clicks. It's going to adapt the interface. It's going to give us 2 different buttons.
Interesting if you tried to give it a theme, like tell it to be thematical about the choices.
And theme and present and shape and style such that each has some sort of theme. As well. And add a tab section inside the leaderboard interface for add a tab section for toggling between the all-time and daily leaderboards. Let's go with that.
I'm going to add one more thought in here we might want to capture somewhere. What if, just so we're not doing some mind-numbing thing that has no value, what if it was when they get to a certain point for the day, like hit 1,000 or something, we could be random, it doesn't matter, but it's something that's high, like the screen like lights on fire or something and is like, whoa, hot streak, or like calm down turbo, you're on fire, let's just take a break. And then we give them some like cool fact or some video to watch that's like a training, like our trusty bit videos or something. So then they're learning something while they pause, give their finger a break, and then it starts over again. Like not starts over, but like allows them to continue.
Yeah, so like in different platforms, Discord's one example. You hit a certain number of messages per second, and it throttles you. That's a cooldown,
Yeah.
essentially, is what it calls it. And so yeah, we could have like any certain amount of clicks in a span of time triggers a cooldown period, and that cooldown makes you have to do some other things. I like that. I like that a lot. So,
But make it an educational thing, right? Where it's like they experience something educational.
and that was the goal really with some of the original vision, is that like giving more people understanding of like what is data, what, like, for anybody that's not a data scientist or in some has been in some adjacent position, people throw this out in like the news and the headlines, and they're like, what does this mean, right? And they have a loose understanding, but can we solidify and help anyone, because data is so valuable in so many ways, and a lot of people use it without even realizing what it is, in terms of when it gets classified and specified, that they use data without realizing it was data, right? And so adding the education around data specifically was part of my thoughts here. We can keep talking, but it looks like it made the
And
changes,
maybe I'm circling back to
and I'm
that
going to click.
because I subconsciously heard it.
No,
But
not what I wanted.
yeah, I think that I know there's a lot of like click games that people would get advertisements and like actually make tons of money off the webpage because of ads. But this is more about like your little micro nuggets of things. I don't know, brilliant, or like some of these other little.
Yeah, that'd be fun. If we and maybe that's what, like, that card I was talking about, the loading screen concept of rotating random tips, could just be like insights about data. Um,
Yeah.
at some point, maybe something with cool metrics and data itself too. But just calling out here, the changes we got successfully brought the leaderboard down to the bottom like we wanted. However, it did mess up, at least for my vision, what I wanted with the number, and it immediately put it at the top. I wanted it to get us to 100 before it moved it up there. But it did get the leaderboard at the bottom, and it did give us these two tabs, all still in decent, nice style, and sample data again. All time, I'm now in ninth place at 41, but today I'm in seventh place because these are all lower numbers. That's realistic. It's pretty good. It's pretty clever when you let it fill in some of the gaps for you. So now we need to get to 100. Okay, I forgot, by the way, to give it instructions about making it like morph and split them. I did say random, so I will in a second here refresh and see if like I get fire and ice again. But I didn't tell it to. I wasn't explicit in other ways, and you can see that thankfully either one of them increments it. But that was something I intended, right? I didn't tell it to do that, but it figured it out. It's still doing every 10. I meant to tell it earlier that I wanted to kind of like scale that.
Question is will it split out the one that hits 100, or will it split out both of them because you hit a total of 200?
Good question. We will see. I like it added the like little emojis, and that they're kind of faint. The background one is faint until you hover. So
Yeah.
I mean, it did do some kind of clever styles there, and it picked orange for fire and blue like ice. It's not bad. Okay, so we're gonna hit 200. I didn't expect it. Yeah, it didn't split or do anything there.
But now we don't know how many you need for one of them to get to 100.
Oh, for
We
sure.
just
Like,
focus on one.
yeah, we're not tracking like anything separate between them at the moment. It's still just the singular counter. Those are all ideas we talked about. We didn't give instructions to
We'll see if
Lovable
you
for
can get it to
those.
split again by just clicking the fire one up to 100 times.
I see. It's lagging a little bit. I don't know if that comes through on the stream or the recording. Oh yeah, I think it caught up. It's good now. No lag. I'm pretty sure I've passed at least 100 clicks on the fire at this point. I'm at the top of the leaderboard now. Yeah, buddy. 321. A little bit of ice on that. Okay, so if I'm
Okay,
not
so it wasn't instructed to like continually split.
yeah, we wanted to just go a simple increment here, not go crazy on it. So more or less, the only thing that I would, oh, and I need to refresh and see, do we get two different styles? Because I did say random, totally random. Maybe I didn't specify that every time somebody gets there, it's different. Because we were talking about this concept of every day, it's got a bit of a reset or something, right? And this
Yeah.
probably needs a split number here of all time and daily or something for returning users technically. But all we're getting is this experience so far as a brand new user. I think, yeah, I looked at light mode, dark mode pretty well. If I'm not mistaken, we've got one message left for the day. One thing I definitely want to fix, so I'll jot this in here so I don't forget, is the counter position. It's always hard to type when people are watching. Position was fine before. It should stay next to the button until it reaches 100, and then it moves up. Also, I would like to see those changes have smooth animation between them, including the separation of the two buttons. Leave that there. Put it on my clipboard because I'm going to refresh, and that shouldn't clear this side out. And we'll see here. Yeah, I kept the interface there, which is great. Started in. I hate that. That's okay. Oh, and before I forget, also, let's have the fire. Whatever. I'll leave it for now. It may morph into all kinds of different things because I noticed when it split the buttons that it kept the firework animation centered still. And it just makes me think, I don't know what direction the firework thing would go. Oh, that's right. 35 was. I love how natural that was too. That like as I was clicking and I passed 35, it spawned the leaderboard, but didn't interrupt me at all, and I could keep spamming this button. I like the gradual introduction of interface. That it starts out very minimal, and that we just gradually. Okay, so we hit that random point. Oh, by the way, unlocked new buttons. Choose your path. We didn't say anything to the AI about choose your own adventure, but it kind of like inferred some of that, which is cool.
The thing that I was expecting to do from here is if you clicked the red, it would actually take the blue out of the picture and just have the red button.
I see. I see. Yeah, let's do that.
Because you're in a choose your own adventure. You go down a path, like especially if it's a river, it's going to be hard to then take that other fork unless you go set yourself back at the start.
Yeah, yeah. We've talked about so many different concepts here that I didn't have a specific thought or expectation for what it was going to be, what it was going to do, other than we talked about like morphing and things. But
well, and the value of this is now it sets up like your themes. So if we wanted like, like I said, maybe a theme is space, or maybe a theme is D&D or whatever. Now you've picked this path and you're unlocking achievements on that path. So the next day you want to see what the other path and the buttons look like or something. If it's space, can you get to like the black hole button? Then you have this trophy case that's
how many like
all the different themes.
end points you've reached, or yeah, the themes that you've reached.
If you want to be kind of clever with it, the themes could tie into what kind of content it shows you. If you didn't want to do just the data stuff,
that could be cool. Yeah,
Korgazat could be
a fun
good
reference to link to.
Like they have space, they have health, they have lots of different.
And their art style is pretty dope too.
Yeah.
So we're gonna remove the other button. The remaining button then gets centered. Wow. Centered again.
Set nerd.
After this is our last message for the day, by the way, just a reminder here. So after, I don't know, 10 clicks on the new button, let's spawn a background. I don't know, we're stretching it here. Animation for the app that relates to the theme of the selected button.
The button that was clicked instead of selected button.
Yeah, I probably need to like theme of the chosen. I did say choice up here as well, so hopefully that's clear enough to it. Anything else to squish in here? I also wouldn't. Well, this is going to interfere actually if we start to add like. We'll see how it does it, I guess. Seeing.
Maybe show the button in the leaderboard that they achieved. The most recent button.
Yeah, let's do that.
Next to their name. A small. What do you call it? Like a
relevant icon
thumbnail
next to a user's name indicating which of the two buttons.
I'd maybe use the word thumbnail.
Oh, I don't want like an image per se. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing just like.
So use the icon in the button. So like
probably, yeah, just like an orange fire icon inside the leaderboard or something. But I'm open to whatever it comes up with, and I'll adjust if I don't like it, type of thing. I know that eats up messages to some degree, but we can also like get to where we make some changes in code, even if that's in between recorded sessions and just small adjustments. Which of the two buttons was chosen by that user at the 100 click mark? Okay, I think that's probably enough for the single message there. All right, so we're yeah, just to recap. Trying to fix the counter position because it kind of jacked that up a little bit after the first click. It bumped it up and I didn't want it at the top quite yet. And then I got an idea. Well, it'd be interesting too if they keep splitting. Maybe we'll add a toolbar in the future or like a status bar that shows what their selections were along the way or something. Or maybe they have to reach the end of one of the paths to unlock that, because that would help you like navigate in the future and think about which ones you've done before. But maybe it's a little bit of a spoiler up front. Um, but we'll save that one. Once the button splits, keep the one they clicked, remove the other. The remaining button gets centered again. 10 clicks on the new button. This one, like, I don't know, I think it might break, but it might come up with something good here. Because we got dark and light mode going on, and we're asking it now to apply a fire theme or an ice theme or something. But again, like, I don't know, we'll roll the dice. So, um, another feature that we'll demonstrate on another day is that, you know, while you can go in and you can edit code, maybe you're not a person that knows code. Maybe there's some bit of style in the app that's just not the way you want it. Thankfully, they do have this built-in edit feature. I won't dive into it right now, but it will let you make some small minor adjustments in terms of some of the styling, maybe the colors or spacing of different things. So, and every edit made through that is free. It doesn't count against your daily message quota. So they definitely have built in some methods here that aren't going to make you have to exhaust all of your messages, your message quota. My very first day playing with this, I hit an error early on, and it was kind of, I was going a little too hard up front, and I was trying to implement functionality that I didn't realize was going to require some integrations. Hitting those errors, I was amazed before hitting those errors, but once I hit them, I was stuck, and I was like, oh, this is kind of not my favorite experience. So I think they're definitely still like an early company, and there's things that will change and improve and grow over time within the app. But they do have a lot of good aspects covered. Like I mentioned earlier, when there's an error, they give you this little wrench button that gives you the chance to, without consuming one of your messages, say like, hey, can you fix this, please? So lots of good little pieces and tidbits that we'll explore over time. It looks like it brought in those new changes for us. So we are improving fixing the counter position, smoothing out some animations with objects and things that are going to move. We're going to handle button selection when they get those two choices, adding a theme background. I don't know if I said animations, but that'll be cool. And giving the leaderboard indicating what somebody picked at that 100 click point fork in the road. So it says that it stays in place, which is great. Let's check all the good pieces. Nope, it didn't fix the position. Said it did, but you know. So we'll have to talk it through that one again, or if it's stubborn enough, we may have to fix it ourselves one day. So again, I'm clicking, yeah, and like the way the leaderboard comes in is great. I wish like something non-obtrusive, because that very first click, it's abrupt, right? And from a UX perspective, it's disorienting, right? To have my button suddenly drop and this number go up top. It'd be great for the number to come in like the leaderboard button. And then when we hit 100, for the number to just go back up. So we may just have to ask it to maybe rebuild that whole number component down the road. But little animations. I notice maybe, okay, I'm seeing a scroll bar appear here on the side, but it seems to be when I've got toast messages. And then if they stack up, the scroll does some weird things, but it's not actually scrolling the app, which is maybe just, yeah, I'll talk to it someday about how it implements those, because I appreciate very much this single frame, this very simple thing. We're here at 100 now. When we click it, okay, that was smooth, although it didn't split my button. It got rid of my button and brought in the two new ones. That's okay. And which one are we choosing this time, Matt?
Cold.
We got the ice. Okay, ice path chosen. Keep clicking to unlock special effects, right? That was supposed to be 10 clicks. That's too much of a spoiler, though, by the way, in that toast. But that's okay. And ice power unleashed. Your chosen element now empowers the universe. I do like that flavor text. But, oh, wait, it's there. It's in the corner. Do you see it? It's
What's
super.
where?
The background animation. Oh. It's in the corner. I missed it if like when it spawned, I didn't get to see it. Okay, and then I don't expect anything else at higher numbers, but we do need to check the leaderboard. Yep, all time. And I'm so glad it caught this. I wasn't going to specify it, but I was hoping it would logically interpret. Anybody on the leaderboard that's not at 100 should not have an icon yet, right? They haven't made that choice. So I love that it picked that up. I like that it got the icon. I didn't have to tell it like too much on the coloring. It did a good job there. Daily, I'm the only person that's past 100. I love it. Is it perfect? No, but is it like pretty darn good? I do think so. Again, like remember what we had at the beginning. So I'm going to demonstrate real quick here a different feature, Lovable. I'm going to go back. Our very first message here, right? We just wanted this click counter. So they have this restore. I can go back and I can say, what did things look like at this point in time? So we go back. It took a little bit of like, it was loading, right? As it restored the earlier version there. We had our light and our dark mode, and we had the click counter activated. And that was literally it. That was all we started. You know, it took a single message to get us to this. It's a pretty simple thing, but it's clean and like it does something, right? It's interactive. It's mediocrely interesting, right? And then over the course of the next 4 messages in our daily quota, I mean, let's even just do a real quick like journey here. After that, we came in and we said, now we want a square button, right? And I believe we also added, yeah, we added our little firework animation. And it did it every, oh, it wasn't doing it every 10 clicks yet. I think we did have, no, we didn't even have the leaderboard yet, right? So what did we even change? Button larger, light and dark mode, we fixed, it was inverted, and we added, that was it. We added the firework. That's all we did with the second message. We got to our third one here, and then we had the increments, and we also had the leaderboard show up. So number was highlighted there. And again, like, okay, at this point, the leaderboard's bumping us at the bottom, but we've still got every 10. The leaderboard was functional at this point, and it was all by itself, just a single version there. That was message 3, right? And like we made some big leaps, I feel like, in message number 4 and 5. We spent a lot of time ideating and talking about them, and I think that's part of in my brain where like it feels like there's big jumps here. But message 4, we got to the point where we still had all the good old stuff. We've got our classic button. We wanted to move this. It didn't quite do it the way we wanted, but that's okay. It did all the toasts by itself. You know, it updated and made those, and we can totally adjust as we need. But now the leaderboard comes in smoothly at the bottom. It's nice and clean. And we also added, once we got to leaderboard, did we add? Yeah, we added the daily part of the leaderboard as well. And then we hit 100, and now it gives us these 2 different buttons that we can choose from. And we still got light and dark mode, still got the leaderboard, daily, and the all-time, right? And so then now the point that we've made, you know, with just 5 messages in this day, like probably bringing in a little bit of like software understanding, but more or less, right? We were just coming at this with something very simple. Anybody could come up with this. We've got this basic counter application game, if you want to call it, right? It has its own built-in leaderboard. A little bit of spoiler here in the leaderboard, which maybe the leaderboard doesn't show up until the choice is made. It's like, what are these icons? And maybe the curiosity is cool too. It's not a problem. But I keep going. This time with the last message, we asked it to make a permanent choice here. And so when we chose, I'm going to do fire this time. It gives us some new prompts. It's now the only button we can choose. Oh, I think it added, I didn't notice this, but I think it added some animation on when I click. It's doing a little bit of shrink and grow. And yep, there, just I watched it spawn here in the top left. You can see it pulsing and stuff. Like, I think that's not bad. We just need that to be bigger and centered, which we're out of messages for today, but that can be something that we ask for tomorrow. So, and it's still there with light mode too. It's doing some sort of effect, pulsing kind of like particle effect, really. And it looks like it will probably work. Don't know how good it'll look, but it'll work on both light and dark mode. So this isn't, you know, probably blowing anyone's, knocking anyone's socks off or blowing too many minds, but compared to other softwares that are out there. But this was just a single day's worth of 5 messages. By the time we get to a week, this thing's gonna be deep, and it's gonna have a lot to it. So thanks everyone for tuning in for this very informal episode 1 of MLP Daily, a journey, a collaborative, a journey together through Lovable. So we started our application today. Tomorrow we'll come back in and add more to it. So thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, all those good things, and keep up with Trusty Bits. We're here on YouTube and Discord and all the good places.